Hi everyone, it's Celeste. Welcome to my BookTube channel. Well, you know it's hard for me to pass up a good deal at a thrift store or a used bookstore, and over the past year I have amassed way too many books. Some of you are saying there's no such thing as too many books, but for me there is. I'm limited on space here. I did invest in a new full white bookcase and a half bookcase which matches it, and even those are almost full. I also have bookshelves downstairs that are almost full, and that is actually after having already purged about 200 books over the past year and a half. I've sold antiquarian books, vintage books. I've given away copies to libraries. I have donated to thrift shops and so on, and I have been able to weed through books that no longer were meaningful to me or that I was ready to let go of. But somehow I still have 6 piles, stacks I should say, of books, which I am trying to make a decision about. So maybe you can help me with that today. I don't have any real rhyme or reason as to the titles I have here. They're from all different genres. There's fiction, there's nonfiction. So basically I thought what I would do is just sort of hold one up and say something about it, or, in terms of why I got it or what I thought it was going to be or something like that, or should I hold on to it, or it might be something I've seen recommended here on BookTube. So help me out with this. And without any further ado, here we go. Although I should say before we start that some of the books which I've gotten at used bookstores or online, used at sites like eBay or Abe Books or Thrift Books, Better World Books, many of those are on my TBR list, and I definitely got them for a specific reason, like I really do want to read them, or I know I want to own them, own a physical copy of them. But these books that I'm going to be deliberating over with you today are the ones I'm not so sure about, so help me out. Okay, in no particular order. Where Are the Children? A novel by Mary Higgins Clark. I wanted to love Mary Higgins Clark books. I started reading this. This was a very, very popular book in its time. She writes along the lines of gothic romance, mystery, thriller, etc. And I definitely love those when done by, for example, Mary Stewart, P.D. James, and so on. I wasn't as thrilled reading the beginning of this one. I just could not get on with it or get into it. So what do you think? Is it worth it? Mary Higgins Clark, Where Are the Children? And by the way, if you see one that you absolutely think I should keep, make sure you let me know in the comments down below. I'm just going to toss these as we go because I have nowhere to put them really. Okay. All right, now Mary Shelley Frankenstein, I have a beautiful Chiltern edition of in hardcover, so I don't need a second edition. So normally I would hold on to this, but this is an extra copy for me. So I'm going to say definitely donate on this one. Okay. Another in the same situation, Mary Queen of Scots by Antonia Fraser. I love Antonia Fraser, and this is my very first Antonia Fraser book that I ever read. And I got this back in the days when I was in college at the University of Toronto, so that's quite a while ago. So I absolutely love this book, but I have a gorgeous new edition of it, so hardcover. And I'm collecting the hardcovers now, so this is going to be a definitely donate one for me as well. Okay, Louise Penny, Still Life. I did try to read this back in November. And as I had mentioned at the time, I want to love Inspector Gamache, and I do really enjoy the limited TV series that was on, even though it got canceled. I thought it was quite good. But this particular book, it's the first one in the Inspector Gamache series, and I wasn't thrilled with it. And I was given the advice to go on to the second one. The thing is, if I do love the second one, do I want to hold on to this and collect them? You know, I don't know if I need a physical edition of this or not. Like, am I going to want to collect all of the Louise Penny? Let me know. Okay, this one is a vintage book, Please Don't Eat the Daisies by Jean Kerr. This is like a vintage mid-century modern comedy. It's about a woman who lives in Larchmont and has 4 wonderful children. And I don't know, this is, I want to love this too, but I'll tell you what happened. I started reading this and I was all ready to be in love with it. It was made into a TV series with Doris Day, I want to say. And I love mid-century modern. I mean, that's where I grew up in the 60s. And I wanted to love it and feel nostalgic about it, but I can't remember where it is. It's in one of the opening pages, and she says something like, she makes what today would be considered an ableist slur. And I know what you're saying, or maybe thinking at this point, or some of you may not, is, you know, you can't judge literature of that era by today's modern standards. And I get that totally. I mean, I read old books all the time. I love Agatha Christie, for example, and there are plenty of slurs in that. I was in the middle of laughing about other things, and it was like I was supposed to laugh at the slur as well. I don't know if she was using the word idiot or moron, or I think it was moron, and that's a very ableist term in this day and age, which refers back to the eugenics crusade. And I personally, as the mother of a special needs child, find it offensive. You may not, you do you. And others may say, oh, come on, you're being way oversensitive. But we all have things that turn us off immediately about books, and I tried to get over it and keep reading, and I just didn't want to. It wasn't funny for me from that point on. I don't really feel like I need to have this in my library and take up bookshelf space. I have a good idea of what it is, and I've seen the TV show, so I think I'm going to part with this. So that will go over there. Okay, next. This one, I think I'm definitely keeping this. This I found at Savers Thrift Shop, and this is Edith Wharton, An Extraordinary Life. This is a hardcover. It's like a coffee table book, an illustrated biography by Eleanor Dwight. And this just looks delightful. It looks like sort of an old-timey biography, and it's got a lot of black and white illustrations throughout, and probably slightly outdated at this point, but I think it would be good enough to hang on to for now, at least. And the next time I read an Edith Wharton novel, I can have this as kind of a little side read to teach me more about her. Even if it's not like the penultimate biography. It was like $2, so I think I'll hold on to this until I read my next Edith Wharton novel, and then at that point I'll make an assessment. So that one I'm going to put here. Okay, what's next? Don't get mad, you guys. Everyone's about to go and clutch their pearls and gasp. Penelope Fitzgerald, Offshore. I keep trying to start it and read it and love it, and I've tried maybe 3 times so far, and each time I just kind of, I think I'll read this instead, you know? So maybe at this point, if I ever do decide I want to read this, I could get it from the library. I'm really limited on shelf space, so unless someone in the comments below convinces me, like, you're nuts, you have to read it, here's why I love it, etc., I'm going to, so this is for right now going into the kind of like limbo, but I think I'm going to donate it pile. Okay. Women in Fiction. This is just a signet short story collection. Willa Cather, Kate Chopin, Colette, Margaret Drabble, Doris Lessing, Alice Munro, Joyce Carol Oates. I love short stories. I absolutely do. I don't know if, I'm going to look at the table of contents. I don't know if these particular short stories are ones that are new to me or if they're sort of the same ones you always get. So with this, well, there's a short story in here I've never heard of before. It's Catherine Ann Porter, Rope, and that sounds pretty darn good. So I might go through it and read a few of the short stories that I haven't heard of and then donate it. So anyways, that's that. Okay. Oh, this one, The Narrow Boat Summer by Anne Youngson. I enjoyed this, and this is such a pretty cover too. Look at the watercolor. This is about 3 women whose lives intersect, and a couple of them decide to work on a canal boat, a long sort of a narrow boat for the summer in England, and it's fun. It's fun. It's kind of a modern, kind of a homage to something like Enchanted April. It's about their individual lives and their troubles and needing to get away and escape. And then while they're on the narrow boat, there's another character who stays in one of their houses while they're gone, or flats. So this is good. I think it's worth a read. So I think I'm going to gift this to a family member if she's interested in reading it. So yeah, The Narrow Boat Summer. It's cute. It's a light read. All right. Next up, this I'm only holding up volume 1, but this comes in 2 very chunky monkey-sized volumes. So this is The Far Pavilions by MMK. Should I keep them or should I let them go? I've never read it. Is it good? Next, Through a Glass Darkly by Carleen Cohen. And this is, I believe, a fantasy? Let's see. Sparkles with all of the passion, extravagance, and scandal of a grand and glorious era. It sweeps you away to the splendors of a lost era. Aristocrats to scoundrels, its rich, vivid characters create their own immortality. It's the story of a great family ruled by a dowager of extreme power, a young woman seeking love in a world of English luxury and French intrigue, and of a man haunted by a secret that could turn all their dreams to ashes. I don't know. Who's read this? Let me know if it's worth it. Okay. Next up, The Endurance, Shackleton's legendary Antarctic expedition, Carolyn Alexander. And it's illustrated with the astonishing unpublished photographs of Frank Hurley. So it's kind of like an illustrated story of that mission with a lot of photographs in it. I don't know, it's quite big though. Do I have the shelf space for this? I also have the story, I can't remember the author's name, but the very classic account of the Endurance. I can't remember what his name is. But I have that on Audible as well, so I don't know. Maybe I'll look at the photographs and see what I think. So there's that. Then this was recommended by my sister, saying it's quintessential summer vacation reading. It's The Divine Secrets of the Ya-Ya Sisterhood by Rebecca Wells. I tried starting this in the summer. It wasn't gripping me or captivating me, and I know it's meant to be a light summer vacation read, but it wasn't even gripping me in like a light way. So I don't know. Maybe I just read it at the wrong time. It was made into a major motion picture. It's supposed to be really good. It's a big blousy romp through the rainbow eccentricities of 3 generations of crazy bayou debutantes trying to survive marriage, motherhood, and pain, and always relying on their love for each other. So, I'm not feeling it. The next 3. I tried reading some Maigret by Georges Simenon, and I have a collection of stories called Maigret at Christmas. I'm definitely hanging on to that. In terms of reading the actual series of novels, I'm not loving them. I do love the Rowan Atkinson TV version. I think he's brilliant in that role, and why did they only make a few? Because it should have just gone on and on and on. He's wonderful. But in terms of reading the stories, they're just so bleak and kind of like boring and sad at the same time. And I know, what am I missing? Because I love the Rowan Atkinson televised version, and I like the Maigret Christmas stories, but for some reason when it's a full-length novel, it's not happening for me. So there's My Friend Maigret, Maigret's Holiday. I started that one, and Liberty Bar is the third one. So these were all available for between $2.99 and $4 or $5. This one was $3.99. Should I keep any of these? Should I try any of these? Give them another go? They just feel bleak and depressing to me without being interesting or captivating. And I know that's got to be me, not the writing, because, I mean, they're renowned. But I think I'm going to give these back to the thrift shop. I'll donate them. This, The Best of James Herriot, the favorite stories of one of the most beloved writers of our time. So this is like a huge coffee table sort of Reader's Digest kind of compendium of James Herriot's writing. It's really big, it's really heavy, it's very like 1970s through 1990s looking. You'll see what I mean when you see the photographs in here. I mean, it's interesting. It's got lots of photographs throughout, and then it's got sort of little vignettes from all of his stories, but they're sort of random. They go all over the place, and they're just like little scenes from his life. I don't think I really want to read it that way. I love the TV series, and I think I would like to get just the paperback novel, All Creatures Great and Small. I had it when I was young. I had it when I was growing up and I was into riding horses and I was into animals and nature and all of that, in my prepubescent years. I loved the James Herriot stories, and I had a paperback at that time of All Creatures Great and Small. But I just don't want to read it as a big kind of book of the month club compendium, because it just seems like too all over the place. So I'm going to be giving this one back to the library free shelf. Okay, well, we've made it through one stack. Okay, I got this next book at the thrift store during Jane Austen July, Longbourn. I love the concept of writing the Jane Austen stories, such as Pride and Prejudice, from the perspective of the staff. I love the agency of that. I love the control that's taken with that, the power. I love telling the other side of the story. I believe that's called medrash. So, for example, there's Beowulf and there's Grendel. Like the Grendel tells the story from the monster's side, or telling a story from the golem's side. I love those normally. Or telling the story from the staff side. But I couldn't get into this writing style. I thought I was going to love it. I was prepared to absolutely love this, and I just thought it was kind of like, The writing, not the premise, the writing. I did not get on with it very well. So I think, again, this will go to the donations pile. Tell me if I'm wrong, and I should hold on to that. The Bride Wore Black, Cornell Woolrich. This is supposed to be a classic Golden Age mystery, I think. I know nothing about it. Should I read it? The Tattooist of Auschwitz. The Tenderness of Wolves by Steph Penny. This sounded good at the time. The year is 1867. Winter has just tightened its grip on Dove River, an isolated settlement in the Northern Territory, when Laurent Jamet is brutally murdered, and a local woman, Mrs. Ross, stumbles upon the crime scene, etc., etc. So I love things set in the West in the 1800s, but I don't know. 2006 Costa Book of the Year winner. So maybe. I'm going to hold on to this, and I'm going to give it a try. I know it sounds very snobby that I'm holding on to it because it won an award, but what can I say? I think I'll hold on to this and give it a try, so that's going to go down there. Okay, so now some of these. Martha Grimes, A Richard Jury Mystery, The Grave Morris. That looks pretty good. My mother loved Martha Grime books, and so there are a few coming up in the next pile that I'm definitely hanging on to. But this is another one of those things, like, once I've started reading Martha Grimes, am I going to want to own all of them? Let me know if I am. Okay, there's that. Best Loved Short Stories of 19th Century America. I think I'm definitely going to hang on to this in terms of Victober, even though they don't permit stories from America. They make a good tangent to the challenges. So, and I am American, and we do call it the Victorian era, by the way. Okay, this one I'm definitely going to let go. A Natural History of the Senses. Back in June, I did a vlog on the sense of smell in the Renaissance, which is a really kind of weird sounding topic, but it was so much fun. This is by Diane Ackerman. This is a very well respected book. I think I'm going to maybe donate this to the thrift store so that someone else can enjoy it. I just did not get into it. It turned out to be, rather than an actual history, it was her own personal observations and internal thought processes about things. And it wasn't written in a style which was engaging and poetic and beautiful or lyric enough for me to value it for that reason, if that makes sense. So it ended up just not being what I was looking for. So I'm going to donate that. The last one in this pile, before I go on, is this is an interesting book. I wanted to do a vlog about another strange one, whaling and ships and sea people and lighthouses. I know, very strange. But this book I found, it's a large coffee table book, and it's called Lighthouse: An Illuminating History of the World's Coastal Sentinels by R.G. Grant. And the reason I got it is because inside it's full of some really lovely, lovely old-fashioned schematics of lighthouses. And I know that sounds strange, but I thought it was one of those things that you think you're going to do something with, like, oh, I could frame these. I could have a series of 4, lighthouse schematics and frame them and sell them or something like that. And no, I'm not going to do that. There was one especially really beautiful one here. I was going to try to find it. Oh, here it is. This really is an impressive page. I'll show you this. It's these are all magic lantern slides, I think they are. But look at this. That's pretty cool. Or stereoscope slides. That's that kind of thing with the handle, and you put it in and you look through the viewer and the two pictures become one dimensional picture. So that's kind of a cool layout. But to justify keeping it on my shelf when it's big and it takes up a lot of room and I don't really have the room, I don't love it. The text I didn't find interesting. It's like a brief, generic, encyclopedic history of lighthouses with a lot of cool pictures in it. So someone else who might actually do something with these visuals should probably have this book. These next two are going to be, or even three, are going to be kind of controversial. This is a brand new copy of Picnic at Hanging Rock by Lindsay. And people love this story. This one I may hang on to and give another go. I tried to read it last summer in the heat and all of that. It takes place in Australia. Cloudless summer day in the year 1900 at Appleyard College for Young Ladies. They go on a picnic at Hanging Rock. It's a classic. It would fulfill my my goal of reading books from other parts of the world in terms of it being set in, I think, Australia. But I wasn't interested when I read it before. I thought I was going to love it, and people have even suggested it to me and said, oh, you would love that book. Maybe I just didn't give it enough of a chance. So I think I'll hang on to this one and give it another go, and maybe I'm in more of the mood for it. This one, I think I can definitely let go. This is Nancy Mitford, The Pursuit of Love. Again, a brand new edition that I purchased from either Waterstones or Blackwell's. And I thought I was going to love it. I tried to read it last February for, kind of a Valentine's read, sort of going on spring. It's a beautiful watercolor cover. I did not like Nancy Mitford's writing style. I don't quite understand the humor. And again, that's probably me, because so many people love this book and this story. It's supposed to be funny and sharp-witted, and there's something about, there's a particular type of humor, which is supposed to be very sharp and witty and searing, that I don't find funny, and I don't get it. I just don't understand what people see in this and why they think it's so marvelous. It's me, not you. But I just don't want it. Don't want it. It's not speaking to me, and it does not spark joy. So I do not have room on my shelf for it. Very Private Life, an Autobiography and Diaries and Letters, Barbara Pym. I've got several Barbara Pym novels, which I have been meaning to read. It's the same issue in terms of the humor, but I haven't really given Barbara Pym a fair shake, so I'm going to hang on to those. Do I need her life in Diaries and Letters in an old sort of 1970s, 1980s kind of a paperback that was from the thrift store? Am I going to think I was crazy for giving this up? Let me know. Convince me that I need to keep this Barbara Pym book in Life and Letters. Okay, where are we? Okay, Phyllis Whitney, Woman Without a Past. My mother loved all of these kinds of authors and had stacks of these, both hardcovers and paperbacks on her nightstand at all times. I may have to hang on to the Phyllis Whitneys just for nostalgia's sake. So I think I'm going to put that one down here. Philippa Gregory, Tidelands. I'm more inclined to read Alison Ware than Philippa Gregory, although I like Philippa Gregory when I see her interviewed in videos and documentaries and things. I do. And I like watching Philippa Gregory's stories brought to the screen. I have just never been able to bring myself to actually read one of her books. Okay. Into Thin Air, John Krakauer. I don't think I want, this is going to sound strange, I don't think I want to read this. I know the writing is meant to be superb, and I don't mind reading disaster stories, but I don't know if I can stomach this. But it's supposed to be one of the best nonfiction books ever written. So I think I'm going to hang on to it for the time being and put it into my kind of book limbo. Let's see, that's the other Far Pavilions copy. Tony Hillerman, The Shapeshifter. I do want to read some Tony Hillerman, but this is not the first one, I don't think. I think I'm looking for The Something Way, it's called, but I can't remember what it's called. So I don't really want to start in the middle of Tony Hillerman, so do I actually need this? I don't think so. I'm going to put it in the donate pile for now. Let me know if I'm wrong. Snow Falling on Cedars, David Gutterson. A glorious whodunit. It closes like a fist around the captivated reader. I know this was a super popular book. I paid $2.99 for it. Should I keep it? The Road to Paradise Island, Victoria Holt. This is a lovely cover. I'm just going to keep it because it's Victoria Holt and for my mom. The same with this one. This cover is glorious, by the way. An Unkindness of Ravens by Ruth Rendell. An Inspector Wexford mystery. I just have to hang on to that one. Come on. Same here, Victoria Holt, The Landauer Legacy. Some of these are purely for sentimentality. Okay, now, I was told to go on with the Inspector Gamache stories. I want to read the second one next, but there is this one, Kingdom of the Blind. So I don't know, is this a good one? I'm definitely not going to own all the Inspector Gamache stories. So do I really want to devote shelf space to something this large? And it's not the second one, which is the next one I would want to read. So I would end up reading this maybe in a year or two. No. Okay. The Summer Before the War, Helen Simonson. This was supposed to be really good. I love stories about World War I. Should I hang on to this? Should I read it? Is it a great read? Is it so-so? Let me know. Okay, The Appeal, John Grisham. I don't think I need to own this. If I ever want to read John Grisham, I can certainly borrow them from the library and save money in the process. This one I think I want to hang on to. I keep trying to read this. I love the premise. Finding Dorothy by Elizabeth Letts. This is, look at the beautiful cover, and it centers around the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, so this richly imagined novel tells the story behind The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, the book that inspired the iconic film, Hollywood 1938. As soon as she learns that MGM is adapting her late husband's masterpiece for the screen, 77-year-old Maud Gage Baum sets about trying to finagle her way onto the set. And she meets Judy Garland, and so it's kind of a mingling of reality, real history, and fiction. But Matilda Gage, her mother, lives in a town to the south of where I am, and Frank L. Baum actually married her in the living room of her mother's house down there. And her mother was a great feminist and worked alongside of the Mohawk women and fought for women's rights, and just was a really fascinating figure. We always hear about Susan B. Anthony, but Matilda Gage was another one, and it was Frank L. Baum's mother-in-law, go figure. So this story and this movie are sort of near and dear to me. I've never been able to really, I mean, I want to love this, but it's one of these things that I'm kind of convincing myself to read it. I'm going to hang on to it for now. Okay. Another series I'm ambivalent about, but I don't want to give away beautiful hardcover books if you think I'm crazy to do so. Elizabeth George, A Traitor to Memory. This is one of the Inspector Lynley books. Should I keep it? Perfect condition. I don't think it's been read. Now this one, this is P.D. James' Original Sin, an Adam Dalgliesh mystery. I have most of the P.D. James Dalgliesh stories, and I don't really need a hardcover because I have the whole set in paperback. But if this is like a first edition, should I hang on to it? I'm inclined not to, because I like my set of paperbacks. I think they're beautiful. So I think I'm going to put that there. This is interesting. Tom Rice, winner of the Pulitzer Prize, The Black Count, Glory, Revolution, Betrayal, and the Real Count of Monte Cristo. This sounds fascinating, and I love Alexander Dumas, and I love The Three Musketeers, or The Three Guardsmen, The Four Guardsmen, The Count of Monte Cristo, etc. Slave, soldier, liberator, hero. General Alex Dumas is a man almost unknown today, yet his story is strikingly familiar because his son, Alexandre Dumas, used his larger-than-life feats as inspiration for classics such as The Count of Monte Cristo, etc. But hidden behind General Dumas' swashbuckling adventures was an even more incredible secret. He was the son of a black slave who rose higher in the white world than any man of his race would before our time. He was born in Saint-Domingue, now Haiti, and made his way to Paris. I'm going to hang on to this because I love French history and I love Dumas literature and a winner of the Pulitzer Prize, so I'm going to hang on to this one. Ethan Frome, speaking of Edith Wharton, couldn't even crack this open in high school. It bored me so much. It seems so bleak, so depressing. Will I change my mind now? I'm going to hang on to it and try to read it and keep it alongside that hardcover biography by Wharton. And we only have like 10 more to go. Stay with me here. I'll try to speed it up. Matt Haig, The Midnight Library. Yay or nay? Lady Catherine, the Earl and the Real Downton Abbey, the Countess of Carnarvon. Don't know. Bridge of Sighs, Richard Russo. This one I'm going to let go of. Mice and Men, John Steinbeck. It's a beautiful edition. I love these editions. They are by who? Penguin. I didn't like this. I've talked about this before. I don't like the way the special needs person is treated. I don't like the way they're portrayed. I don't like the way the women are portrayed. I've read short stories by Steinbeck and essays that I thought were marvelous. And I respect him as a writer, but this ain't it. A Gentleman in Moscow, Amor Tolls, author of Rules of Civility. Everyone who has read this says it's wonderful. I just don't know if I'm ever going to get to it. Should I just watch a movie? Tell me if I should hold on to this one, because I don't know. Below Stairs, the classic kitchen maid's memoir that inspired Upstairs, Downstairs, and Downton Abbey. It's kind of interesting from a primary source point of view, the writing isn't particularly good, but it's interesting as an artifact of what it was like to be the lady's maid and all of that at the time, or the maid below stairs, Maigret Powell. And it's recommended by Julian Fellows. I feel like I should keep it, but my instinct is not to. Irene Hunt, Across 5 Aprils, a Newbery Medal book. I'm going to hang on to this one because I'm trying to read more of the Newberys, and this is always assigned in school, but I don't think I've ever read it. I don't know how I got past that one. This is supposed to be a wonderful book, Time and Again by Jack Finney, the classic illustrated novel. It's called The Great Time Travel Story by Stephen King. Well, Stephen King made the comment. I'm going to hang on to that. Definitely hanging on to this. I've never read it. Cormac McCarthy's The Road. Definitely I'm going to hang on to the rest of the ones I'm showing you. Sue Monk Kidd, The Mermaid Chair. Look at this cover. It looks like a summer read to me. Rosamund Pilcher, Winter Solstice. I got this for $4.99. It doesn't even look like it's ever actually been read. So I'm going to hang on to that because I've heard so many wonderful things about it being such a cozy winter book. Never read any Rosamund Pilcher, so I'm going to hang on to that. And finally, Ruth Rendell Collected Stories. Hey, if I'm holding on to the other ones, I might as well hold on to that too. Okay, that has been a ton of stories to share with you. Tons of books that I'm considering donating, keeping, yay, nay, haul, unhaul, put on my TBR. Let me know if any of them, excited you or you hated them. Which ones do you recommend? Were there any that I put into the donate pile that you think I'm crazy for putting there? Yeah, so I'm trying to start out January by making room for things that have been on the floor in 4 or 5 stacks for over a year and they haven't made it to the TBR shelf even. So at this rate, if I keep buying books, there just won't be room to move in the bedroom here. So let me know what you think. Hope you're having a great January, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.